Yeah. 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 Yeah.
God be with you, good wife. Has something happened here?
Heavens no. It's quiet here, unlike some other places.
And what about that empty grave?
What empty grave would that be now?
The one beyond the village, alongside the road to Sasau. Just by the river, on the Pine Headland.
How would you know it's empty? Unless it was dug up.
Oh, it's dug up, all right. Freshly. And empty. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Lord in heaven, what in the name of...
How come it's not in hallowed ground, anyway? Only unrepentant sinners are buried like that. Usually.
I don't like to say. It's an old wound that's best forgotten.
Whose grave is it?
Well, once a long time ago there was a young charcoal burner living here with his wife. There was always a lot of charcoal burners here, but this fellow worked alone. That's not an easy job for one man.
Well, no one wanted to work with him, or what?
Ah, he was a hard-headed fellow who always wanted to take care of his family himself.
Well, I can understand that. It's always better to work for yourself than break your back for someone else.
His wife was expecting, though no one knew it yet. And he wasn't doing well at all. Soon enough, they had nothing to eat. And so he took to thieving.
Well, I can understand him. To watch your family suffer like that. What could he do when they were going hungry?
If we'd known how badly off they was, folk would have helped out. But he kept his troubles to himself.
And did he get caught?
Well, at first it was just a few eggs going missing from people's hen coops. But then it was anything that wasn't nailed down. And in the end, they caught him.
And I suppose he was harshly punished for it.
Even then he didn't let on why he was doing it. They whipped the skin off his back. and banished him from Ledetchko.
So justice was done then?
It wasn't enough for some folk. When the butcher found out he'd never get any compensation, he wanted them to chop off the charcoal burner's hands. If the bailiff hadn't talked sense into him, he'd have done it himself with his cleaver.
Well, he got off lightly enough then.
And in the end, he got what was coming to him, and more.
The butcher caught up with him?
No. It was the mills of God turning slowly but surely. His wife bled to death in childbirth, and the child died with her.
I'm sorry to hear that. But at least he knew they were gone to a better place.
True, lad.
Nothing could have been done to save them.
There was no one there. He had no one who would care for his wife. They say on that day he parted ways with God forever, and he turned his back on the village too. I reckon he never forgave himself, nor us either.
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. But how did he end up?
Don't ask me that, lad. I beg you.
Sorry, good wife. Let's leave it be.
Thanks, lad.
Yeah.
Rabbit paws of all colors, shapes, and sizes. I'm honored that a knight such as you takes an interest in me.
I know who was buried in that grave. A young charcoal burner.
So begins the tragic tale of the young charcoal burner who became entangled with the devil himself.
Oh, don't start. What devil? I'm trying to tell you. Ugh. He was from Ledetchko. He was trying to eke out a living for himself and his wife, but he couldn't manage. When she fell pregnant, he took to stealing.
Pride drove him from the straight and narrow path, and soon he sold his soul to the devil to fill his stomach.
They caught him and punished him, but some of the people he'd robbed didn't think it was enough. Then when his wife died in childbirth, and the child too, he blamed everyone for it. Even God, apparently.
But when the time came to pay his debt to hell, the devil had no use for his soul, and took his wife and child instead. The charcoal burner cursed God, who struck him down in righteous vengeance. But the dead man's soul never left his body. He came back as a revenant, to vent his rage at God and men and take vengeance on the living.
Jesus, did you listen to what I said at all?
Sorry, did you say something?
Oh, never mind. What do you want me to do with it?
Well, the question is, what would the revenant do to get revenge on the villagers? Well, apprentice?
He was stealing food from people, right? So, supposing he started again.
We should steal from people? Disgraceful. Have you no shame?
Maybe just a few eggs from hen coops, like the gossip mentioned.
Well, that wouldn't be too serious a sin. Will they put it down to the revenant, though?
They would, if I put some charcoal there instead.
And their nourishment he turned into ash.
The gossip mentioned the butcher. It seems he was infuriated that the charcoal burner's punishment was too lenient.
And the revenant spoiled their meat with his malign touch.
How's that?
Spoiled meat is a classic example of a revenant's power.
I thought it was the work of bad butchers.
That too, sometimes.
So, I should switch the good meat for bad at the butcher's. What about the butcher woman?
What about her?
Well, her conscience is still troubled on account of her man, and she feels haunted. This won't help her much.
What's that got to do with you?
Well, I want to help her.
All right, if you can find some other solution, you don't have to switch the meat. but I wouldn't worry about her. But make sure it's the same kind of meat. Not even a revenant will turn a cow into a chicken.
What about his wife and child? No doubt he'd want to avenge their death.
Well, how did they die?
In childbirth.
And when his love turned to rage, the water turned to blood. Nothing too original, but it's tried and tested. If you do it at the baths, everyone will hear of it.
How am I supposed to do that? It might be a bit suspicious if I'm seen walking around with a pail of blood.
No problem. There's a certain potion that will do the trick easily.
He cursed God. That's very serious.
What is it that most brings God to mind?
They don't have a church there. But everyone will have a rosary. I can't think of anything else.
That's it! If folks start losing their rosaries, they'll have sleepless nights over it.
You want me to steal rosaries? But that's...
Or just exchange them.
For what?
For nothing.
Great.
So, switch eggs for charcoal, switch the meat, color the water in the baths, and switch the rosaries. That ought to do it. I hope so. Of course, if you come up with anything else, don't let me hold you back. Talking to people might give you ideas. Traders, the bailiff.
What if someone sees me in the act?
They mustn't. Otherwise, it'll end up like Sasau all over again. Don't draw attention to yourself, or they'll put two and two together.
Sure. I'll keep my head down. And how will I know if I've succeeded? I doubt it'll be announced on the market square.
I'll be the first to know. They'll come running to me for a remedy, like hens at feeding time. Off you go and raise hell.
Right. I'll get to it then.
Take care. Come closer, my friend. Far.
It came from over here. What do you want? You've no business here. You want something from me, do you? God bless.
Problems with stomach ulcer? Buy my potions made from magical herbs.
What sounded like?
Hey! Who's there?
Something happened?
Hey! What?
Who is it?
I'm in.
So what you...
Get myself.
That can be arranged.
Fine.
I'm sure... Good luck then.
Mother of God.
What was that?
What about the dead man's remains?
You still have them?
No, you said to keep them. What do I do with them now?
I'll buy them from you.
What on earth for?
The bones of a revenant. Those can be valuable goods. What do you say?
All right, I'll sell them to you.
Splendid. Revenant bones.
Sure.
So, how am I doing so far?
What? You've already started?
That's still not enough.
You've Goodbye.
About that recipe.
Yes.
What's the recipe for that potion you were talking about?
You mean for colouring the water? Ah, well...
Well,
Pay close attention now.
I'm all ears.
How love turned to bloodshed. Once there was a knight who, though upright and noble-looking, had a prickly, unapproachable appearance. He fell in love with a fragile young maid, whom he saw with her sisters in a field, all wearing bright red wimples. But he was afraid his prickly exterior would frighten her. So he asked the advice of another knight, a pious and learned crusader, who carried the name of the patron saint of his order with pride. The pious knight told him he would arrange a rendezvous with the maid. All three would drink wine together by the river, and he would help his friend to get acquainted with her. This they did, but the maid fell in love instead with the pious knight. The stern knight was enraged and challenged his rival to a duel. The two fought long and fiercely, but they were equally matched, and so, in the end, they both fell mortally wounded. Anguished at the tragedy her beauty had caused, the young maid took a dagger from one of the knights and plunged it into her own heart. Their bodies lay together on the ground, and the blood flowed from them into the river, turning the waters crimson.
I thought you were going to tell me the recipe, not some fable.
It is the recipe. I mean, the recipe is concealed in the story.
What on earth for?
So I don't forget it.
All right. So what does it mean?
I can't remember.
Great. So if you don't know, who does?
You'll figure it out, my loyal apprentice. I remember there are 3 plants in the story, but that's about all. But I know it was a simple recipe. It should be enough to grind the ingredients and brew them together for one turn. So, all you have to do is work out what the ingredients are from the story.
Sure. Why make things simple if you can complicate them?
Bye-bye. Has your manhood been wilting lately?
Yeah.
That bites
Duh! Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck, then.
Good health to you, Henry.